You know, that their Sims series is pretty darn popular. Seriously, it's one of the best-selling series of games of all time. And as popular as they are, they can be fairly complicated. Give your Sims food, water, make them go to work, take care of their kids, manage their relationships, build and provide them with all the amenities that they require. Whether it's couches, beds, a home to live in, and oh yeah, you gotta keep them alive. A task harder than it may seem. There's a theme you might see in the gaming industry. For every popular, semi-complicated game, there's often someone who tries to take advantage of the formula and dumb it down to increase the appeal to a larger audience, removing some significant aspects to make the game more simple.
Think of the 1994 XCOM game versus the 2012 XCOM Enemy Unknown. It's not a spin-off, but the mechanics are lightly simplified. Then take XCOM Enemy Unknown and boil it down even further to the base mechanics and you have Mario vs. Rabbids. Not the same developer, but sort of a better analogy for Sims to MySims.
Games like Medieval and Castaway all allow for the same general premise as the traditional Sims games, just with differing locations and some that may affect your options. There are quite a few random mini-games strewn throughout these titles, but that's sort of a general affairs thing that you'd expect from a brand this big. But these are less like reductions to the series and more of just a spin-off, using the Sims title to promote an overall similar game or an unrelenting cash grab. However, there are two main titles that seem to overly simplify the Sims gameplay. The first game of this theme is The Herbs, the sort of 2000 edgy, cool guy affair that you might expect from a game that takes place in the urban part of the Sims world. Could you even imagine what that boardroom at EA looked like in about 2002, where a group of 40-year-old guys are just talking about how the Sims need to appeal to an urban crowd? The same guys that go on to decide that there's no better person to recruit than will.i.am. The Herbs mainly focuses on the building up of districts, reducing some of the mechanics of the original series in favor of more interaction and objective-based gameplay to increase those districts. But as many jokes as there are to be made about a game, let's say, as timely as The Herbs, let's look at a game with even greater simplification of the Sims series.
So imagine with me for a second that you find most of the Sims games a little too difficult. You want to cut out all the malarkey and focus on the building and maybe some of the relationship aspects. And let's say you want to run around and collect items in a small town and you happen to own a Wii. And let's say that it's 2007, you're 11 years old and you're also me. Then maybe you should play MySims to quell all these questions.
It's almost immediately clear that MySims is a very baby take on the entire Sims franchise, which does make quite a bit of sense considering this is an early Wii title we're dealing with. MySims is a substantial reduction from the traditional Sims gameplay, as it removes most of the family, social stuff, and general survival / life work, food, water, using the bathroom, and forgoes them for a sort of city builder, which I guess would be comparable to something like Animal Crossing, although that's not a perfect comparison.
To say that the original Sims and MySims are different would be a grotesque understatement. Let me just illustrate how far off base MySims is.
If you don't know about MySims, allow me to quickly give you a rundown of the general gameplay loop. You move to a crappy, dilapidated town, and you have to use your building powers to bring back the residents. From there, the gameplay loop is as follows. Move a sim into your town. To be clear, there's no mechanic here, you just basically press invite and build them a house. Apparently in this world, a house is any random structure with a door and a sign. If the sim that you invited is deemed a commercial sim, or what a member of your local government would call a small business owner.
Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. Small businesses are the backbone. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy.
You must complete 3 to 4 different tasks, which involves collecting a series of essences. These are materials collected from different parts of the map. These will then be used to customize your pieces of furniture. You build furniture in this game, but it's barely even a mechanic. Just pick the item you want and insert the pieces into the blueprint. I should add that this part of the game, of course, contains no real consequences at all for using a lot of parts or not building all the parts for the blueprint. Then, turn the thing into whatever person asked for it and boom. Rinse and repeat this formula until you've reached 5-star rating of your town, or you feel like putting way more work in than's necessary. But unfortunately, this isn't even the sole problem with the game. Even if we hypothetically assumed that the quality of MySims mechanically was good enough, the overall quality of the game likely influences how hard it is to enjoy it. Let me just give you a quick rundown of just a few of my problems with the game. The overall sound design borders on creepy, as most of the areas have no music whatsoever, with occasional music coming from out of nowhere, leaving you to play almost in complete silence outside of characters' footsteps and a handful of other noises. Imagine being overly excited to play this and...
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
The game struggles with giving you information and presenting things in a simple way that isn't a complete nightmare. There's no way to find essentials without either memorizing it or finding generic clues. Even if you found the item before, there's no indication or glossary, which becomes a problem because there's so many parts of the world that look too similar, and sometimes it just gets confusing to find. Similarly, building a single piece of furniture involves you having to slowly scroll through many screens to find one piece that you need.
While the mechanics of MySims are stripped down for sake of simplicity, what's also stripped away is any catharsis and fun to be had.
The performance of this game is absolutely abysmal. I get that it's the Wii, and it's early Wii too at that. I cannot stress how much the performance of this game aggressively hindered my enjoyment of it. Loading screens are painful, and the game consistently stutters for several seconds just switching from day to night, or whenever you dig up an item, and you dig up an item a lot. And unfortunately, none of this is alleviated by playing the game on the Wii U, meaning that it just wasn't well optimized. To clarify here, I reject the premise of defining quality of a product based on the fact that it's for kids. Movies, games, TV shows can all be good regardless of the audience that they're made for, but that really is all that Sims is, as gameplay is just too simple, repetitive, or free of consequence to be enjoyed by an older audience, or maybe even anyone really, which unfortunately, the problem just means that the game is not good.
MySims never really got a fair shake, and a lot of these issues could be alleviated in a sequel that never came.
Well, true sequel to the formula of the first game. I have no clue why EA decided to take a simplified city builder and turn that into a Mario Party clone, a kart racer, a flying game, and a fucking spy game. What does that even do? Why is that even it exists solely for the purpose of money? That's pretty obvious. These games are without a doubt shovelware. Even if the totally random nature of these titles doesn't convince you, they literally came out within 7 months of each other. This really leads me to question the quality of these titles.
Alright, fine, you caught me in a fib. There is a MySims sequel. It's called MySims Kingdom. Yeah, no, we didn't get a real true sequel in MySims 2, but what do you want?
Kingdom takes the original game and streamlines its formula to be considerably more linear and task-based. The carpentry mechanic is completely slashed, instead using essence to complete scrolls giving you abilities to make new furniture pieces. That, alongside decorations, are now placed with specific mana costs. Mana being collected in a series of ways, including completing tasks and collecting essences. This new method means your gameplay is more tailored towards interior decorating than blueprint building. The story sees you restoring a myriad of themed islands. To do so, you complete a couple of tasks that correlate to said island. These only take about 30 minutes to complete, that's assuming that you're not taking any time to get fancy with the decorating. After playing Kingdom, I can tell you one thing for sure. It's monumentally better than the original. Still not an amazing game, but far superior. All the obnoxious performance-based issues of the first game are gone. It's almost like EA learned how to optimize a game. Oh wait, they forgot again. The adventure-based task gameplay is massively more enjoyable than the first game's open-ended gameplay because I feel so much more meaning and I see the objective to what I'm doing. I don't have to grind essences for items I've made multiple times, and every method of collecting essences is considerably faster and more enjoyable. I enjoyed the interior decorating style of the game much more than the oversimplified town building the first. Finally, the mana mechanic, as extremely simple as it is, adds an element of consequence to building items, which feels much better from the player's standpoint. Kingdom in no way, shape, or form resembles the original PC Sim series. Sure, the first MySims game differs from that original formula, but Kingdoms almost shares no elements whatsoever. But comparing the two, Kingdoms is simply superior. So, what do we take from all this? Well, the Sim series, as it was simplified, got more and more bland and required less from the player to the point where it was just no longer fun, until they finally realized that what they needed no longer resembled the original game. In addition to that, we've also learned that dumbing down the mechanics of an overly complicated series is not a guaranteed recipe for success. In fact, it often hurts the game and mitigates risk and really nullifies the idea of playing it from the beginning.